Good day. I am just starting a couple of videos here. Something I want to talk about, and I might not even get any viewers, whatever. So quickly here, I am a pretty big Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm actually based out of Pennsylvania. I know. Long story short, when I was a kid, I was a fan of Herschel Walker, and for whatever reason, I saw a football card of him, and I decided that's who I like as my favorite player. So he got traded to the Vikings, followed him, and I just kind of fell in love with that team. I don't know what it was or whatever. So when he left there, I just stayed a fan of the Vikings. Yeah, and it's been a crazy ride for. Won't give away my age for many years. But it's been fun. It really has been. There's been a lot of heartbreak and sports related pain and misery. But it's been awesome. They've been great franchise to root for, and I've been to many games up there, and yeah. Anyways. So the whole point for me doing this is, I just like to talk about their games and everything like that. And I'm sure there's hundreds and thousands of people out there, do this kind of stuff. Whatever. If you like it, you like it. Maybe there's one person that views it. Great. Anyways, enough of me babbling. I want to talk about this last game we had against the Buffalo Bills, the 0-2 Buffalo Bills, who had gotten thoroughly outplayed in their first two games by the Ravens and by the Chargers. We, on the other hand, were 1-0-1. We had a crazy fourth quarter comeback against our arch rival Packers, which we were gifted to be in the first place because of the roughing passer penalty on Clay Matthews that extended that game. That's another subject for another time. But here's the deal. The Bills were, I believe, 17.5 point underdogs. We were 17.5 point favorites, and from the get-go, I hated it. Hated it. You gotta understand, historically, as Vikings fans, well, just as the Minnesota Vikings in general, don't do good when they're favored heavily. They never have done well. Okay, I wasn't obviously alive for the Super Bowls. I don't know, if or when they were favored, but my whole time being a fan, it just seems like anytime they are massively favored, has been a pretty big letdown. Yeah. So, didn't like that to start with, on a bunch of levels. First of all, you have the Bills, Vontae Davis, their cornerback, retired at halftime the week prior. And so that can galvanize the team right there. You quitting us, right, inside the locker room, so then the guys in the locker room start coming together. Nobody believes you can win. Number two, you have a rookie quarterback making his first start, not a lot of film against him. That's where the one area where I feel like we should have exploited them. Mike Zimmer actually tended to struggle against rookie quarterbacks. Look at his stats against the rookie quarterbacks. They're not very good, actually, which is really surprising. But we also struggle with athletic quarterbacks, guys who can throw sling it. He can throw it real far. And athletic quarterbacks. We've always struggled against that. And so, yeah, them against the world, nobody thinks they have a chance to come in here, and I hated it from the beginning. First of all, I didn't think we were playing all that great. Everybody out there was like, after Daniel Carlson missed those couple kicks against Packers, we cut him. We signed Dan Bailey. All I read all week was this team got its missing piece for the Super Bowl puzzle. I hate that stuff. It's like, ugh. There's so much pressure and so much hype around that. A kicker is not going to change if you're a Super Bowl team or not. I'm sorry, it's not. And it just drove me nuts all week. And everybody talking how great we are, and this defense, and Kirk Cousins looks awesome, and this and that, and and Dalvin Cook sat out this game, and Everson Griffin, and it was like Dalvin Cook probably was like, yeah, I probably could have played if it was, I'll be ready by next Thursday. To me, it's almost like they took the game off. And so they had this whole mentality, and our fans can be ridiculous, probably like other fans, but just taking the game way too lightly. Oh, I'm part of some groups on Facebook, and they're like 49-3 halftime Vikings. Really? Okay, the NFL is not that easy. All right. It was just baffling to me that nobody gave the Bills a chance. Except for I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan for years. I know bad stuff can happen. I've seen it. I've experienced crazy things. When stuff goes wrong, the Vikings game or season or whatever, I'll tell my wife or friends, I'm like, and this is what it's like to be a Minnesota Vikings fan. Blair Walsh, 27-yard field goal in the playoffs. Gary Anderson, perfect 1998 season. Misses one kick that would have sent us to the Super Bowl in the championship game. Starting off 6-0 in 2003 and 5-1 in 2004, only to finish both those seasons 3-7. We made the playoffs the year we actually won 8-8 in 2004, but stuff like that. The Brett Favre interception, 2009 NFC Championship game, with coming off of the penalty of too many men in the huddle, which basically kind of took us out of the fringe of field goal range. Boy, oh boy, the 41-0 disaster in the NFC Championship game in 2000 against the Giants. The NFC Championship game last year when everybody picked us, which, by the way, I didn't. Stuff like that. I hate when we're the favorites. So here we go. I knew this was going to be a tough game. The Bills in the second half against the Chargers got some things together, right? They got some things going, and their defense played a little better. Whereas us, again, it's almost like that Saints playoff game last year where we make that kick, the Minneapolis Miracle, the Stephon Diggs, and we're on such an emotional high. And how do you come back down from that and play again next week? I just feel like, man, it takes so much out of you. I feel like that was a contributing factor to the Eagles game. Yes, they were the better team, but I feel like the moment something crazy happened, I feel like we just were drained. And the interception, Patrick Robinson took it back to the house for a touchdown. That changed the whole course of the game. So, same thing here. I felt like, we've made that massive comeback against our arch rivals in Green Bay. All the players are like, pumped up on the sideline. So you go from this elation to, man, we missed. Wow, I can't believe we missed it. So then you got to go back to work all week, I don't think they were ready for a fight. I watched that first couple minutes. The Vikings were not mentally ready for that game. They weren't. They were not ready for a 60-minute battle. The Bills were. A lot of times I could tell with body language. The Vikings' body language wasn't there. It wasn't there. And actually, it's something I'm seeing this year so far that's kind of troubling me. I feel like it's not the same defense, even though we basically have the same players. Terrence Newman retired at 41 years old. He's a coach, but we're missing him out there. I think we're missing his leadership. We're struggling with some rookies. Mike Hughes is struggling, I think, a little bit. There's some breakdowns with communication, which hasn't happened, with this defense, in quite a while. But I absolutely knew we had to get a fast start. Yeah, it's the Bills. They're 0-2. They're probably regarded as one of the worst teams in the league. Us, one of the best teams in the league. But I just knew you give a team like that who has no hope, you give them any type of life early, and things can change on a dime. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I played football myself. I know the ins and outs of that. Football's more mental, especially nowadays, than I think it ever has been. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why. But that first drive, the Bills got it. All right, the 3 and out. Actually, they went 3 and out. But there was a roughing passer call on Linval Joseph. That gave him new life. I think if we got them off the field right away, there goes the doubt. The doubt starts to creep in. Oh, man, this team really is good. Or, it's not the way we want to start out. And that gives Vikings confidence. So that extended the drive. And then we got another, don't quote me, I think it was a face mask on Anthony Bard. Extended the play again. I think we had 3 penalties in that drive for like 25 yards. And they ended up scoring a touchdown. And you can just feel the momentum. You could just feel the change. You could just feel it. I could feel it from my TV set. And again, I had a weird vibe all week. I'm in a survivor pool. I talked myself into picking the Vikings. I talked to my wife before the game, and I said, I really don't like this. I said, before I talk you out of picking them, I said, I just don't like everything I just told you about them being underdogs, no one giving them a chance, and us, kind of being, kind of you're on. You have the Rams coming up as a trap game. I just didn't like it. I didn't. But I'm like, well, it's a safe bet. I'll just go with them. I really want to pick the Chiefs, but in my email, I even said I hate this. Don't like it. Don't like the feeling. And then just watching the game, I didn't like the feeling I had. It didn't. Just something was off. So then we get the ball after they score, and Kirk Cousins fumbles. Our offensive line was bad. He fumbled the next possession. Our defense couldn't stop him. But you give anyone short fields like that. What are you gonna do? And so we're down 17-0, and I hate to be like this, but I basically said to my wife, I don't think we're coming back. I said this game is basically over, and it was 24-0. I said that this game's over. There's people like, oh, we're coming back, we're gonna win. Sometimes you just know. Sometimes and that's one of those games where it was them against the world. It was everybody on our high horse, so to speak, and once I don't know. Again, just the body language just wasn't there. There was no fight. There was just no fight in us that game. There was nothing there, and boy, I tell you, our offensive line looked horrible. Nothing looked good though. Kirk Cousins missed some wide open passes to Stephon Diggs and Thielen early for big gains. Both were extended drives, obviously. Big. We run the ball 4 times. Okay, I get you're down 17-0. I get you kind of have to get back in the game. You run the ball. 6 times. Ran the ball 6 times. You're not going to beat 99 out of 100 games. You're going to lose because you got to run the ball. You got to have some kind of balance. Yeah, you're playing catch up. We had 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters to catch up. I understand our line was good. Dalvin Cook was out, but you can't be one dimensional. You can't throw the ball 50 sometimes and win. You just can't. And so that was disturbing. And I love Mike Zimmer. I really, really like what he's done with this franchise and team since he's taken over in 2014. He's really molded the team into his own. And here comes my cat. You can't see him, but. Yeah, I really like what he's done with this team, with this franchise. He's made leaps and bounds with the guys and team that we have. So, but that was disappointing. I feel like he should have recognized this to be a potential trap game. And somehow you got to motivate your players, whatever it takes. And I feel like I think I made a post on Facebook like. You would never see that happen with a Bill Belichick coach team. Ended up losing the Lions. That's not a trap game. Because the Patriots lost the week before, and it's a primetime game. The Lions started off bad, but they've been in the playoffs. They still have talent. They have a lot of talent there. And again, the Patriots had lost the week before, so that was not a trap game. That's something you wouldn't see a Bill Belichick coach team do. They just wouldn't. He would get them motivated, whatever means necessary. And I feel like Mike Zimmer kind of just, for whatever reason, his players didn't get it that week, and that's the thing I'm struggling with. So we'll see how they respond against the Rams. But early on, I just feel like we are not the same team. I feel like there's that fire might be burning out, especially on defense. I'm just not creating turnovers. I noticed in the 49ers game, I was actually on the weekend getaway from my anniversary, so I recorded it, and I followed it, my phone and whatnot. But when I got back home, I recorded DirecTV, watched it on Monday. all I heard from people on Sunday, from like analysts, was Vikings are great. They're up 24-6 at one point. Blah blah blah. Ended up winning 24-16. Well, I watched that game, and I came away with, and it's the same things I've seen week 2 and 3. Guys running wide open, which you barely saw that all of last year at all. I mean, Greg Kittle, the 49ers tight end, wide open on a couple routes. He dropped, actually. Could have been for a big game, but and then they had a couple big runs in the first half for chunk yardage. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards at a time. I feel like we really struggled. We did have 4 takeaways, so our defense did a good job there. We had a couple sacks too, but there's some holes there. Then the Packers game, our special teams was terrible, which has really been all year so far. Again, I feel like we struggled to stop the run in the first half. We did a much better job in the second half, but Jimmy Graham ran out wide open a couple times. Just guys down the field wide open. Back-to-back games. All right, so you got the Bills, right? Well, here you go. Guys running wide open. That Kroom or whatever, 26-yard touchdown, wide open. Chris Ivory, 55-yard gain on a pass, wide open. So there's definitely holes on our defense. Eric Kendricks has not been playing great so far this year. Anthony Barr, same thing. I just feel like those guys, I don't know what's going on. There's not the same intensity, doesn't feel like to me. Offensively, our line, I think, did an okay job against 49ers. Brenson Buckner had a pretty good game. 2.5 sacks, but I feel like overall we were okay. I think we were a little better against Green Bay, especially considering the fact that we passed a majority of the time, and they knew we were going to pass it. I feel like we did a pretty good job against them. This past game was terrible. I mean, it was just. Can you blame Kirk Cousins for that? I don't think so. I don't think he played great. I think he missed some throws, but our offensive line was just awful. And that's what puzzled me in the offseason. Instead of, we have all these big contracts we're giving out. Great. Okay. I'm glad we're securing some of our players, but man, you got to win with a solid group up front, and Pat Elflein was coming off shoulder surgery. You had Nick Eason retiring. You had Jeremiah Searles leaving in free agency. Those were 3 starters. Now, Searles was a backup, but he would fill in as a starter. Okay. So now you have, Tom Compton starting at left guard. You have Rashad Hill, right tackle, which he started there before. I don't know. I think Mike Remmers was better there at right tackle than he is at guard. Whatever. But there's not a lot of depth. We did draft O'Neal from Pittsburgh, I think in the 2nd or 3rd round. Don't quote me on that. One of those rounds. But I would have liked to see him pursue more depth there and possibly upgrade, in the starters, obviously. But that baffled me. It really did, and it showed its ugly head this past game. Now moving forward, I want to see what type of team we have. I don't think we're going to beat the Rams. I think talent for talent, the Rams are better. It is what it is. I think the Rams might be the best team in the NFC, if not the NFL this year. We'll see. But if we go out there and we get our butts physically handed to us again, there's not a lot of fight, then this season might be lost. Back-to-back, you can't play back-to-back games the way we just did against the Bills. It can't happen again. Now, if we show some fight, if there's improvements being made, okay, there's hope. But I got to see that. And I will say this, the one thing, there's been a lot of positive things about Mike Zimmer's coach team in this era but the one thing that his teams have really done well, they have responded after adversity and a loss. Yet most times after a loss, especially bad losses, his teams have always responded well. Not necessarily winning games, but they've responded well. I like to reference the 2015 year. That was basically the first year his team really started winning. So we started off, I think, 8-2, and then we lost a couple of games. When we played Seattle in December, I think beginning of December, we got thrashed at home, 38-7. We had some injuries on defense that day, but we just were like, okay, wow, let's see how we respond. We came out the next week, went to Arizona on a Sunday night game. Now, mind you, Cardinals went to the NFC Championship game that year, but we battled, man. They fought. They were down. They ended up tying the game. Um, and the Cardinals went ahead, like 23-20. And then we had the ball and driving, under a minute left. Strip sack, fumble, they recover. But I saw something there. From that point, I was like, okay, we're going to be good. And what happened? We won the final 3 games, and we all know how the playoffs ended. Anyways, that's what I want to see this week. Do we adjust? Does he light a fire under their ass this week? Something's got to be done because there's too much talent on this team for us to play like that. Inexcusable. They all know it. We all know it as fans. So let's see what happens. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this, and obviously I plan to make more. So at this point, if I'm being realistic, I believe the Rams will win. I wouldn't be surprised if they score more than 30 points against us because they are so hard to defend. Sean McVay does an outstanding job at scheming on offense. They are just misdirections. They have speed guys everywhere. Tom Gurley's a beast. And then on defense, they're just talent everywhere. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we lost like 31-17 or something like that. But as long as I see improvements and fight, anything's possible. So again, appreciate the time, and go Vikings.